and I learned how to lose. I got so restless in my head, those thunder clouds were closing in, and who was I, still not quite sure, and laugh or cry, pray or sin, my beating heart was linen thin. Now I know how.
Welcome to Behind the Song. To coincide with his debut solo gig, which is in conjunction with mine, we have the absolute pleasure to chat to a man who has not only achieved worldwide success through his multi-award-winning group, the Vamps, but despite having his battles with anxiety, releases his debut single, Dancing on the Head of a Needle. Today, we talk to James McVey. Hi, James.
Hi.
Tell me about Dancing on the Head of a Needle and the story behind it.
Dancing on the Head of a Needle was a song that I actually went through a vocal polyp, which resulted in surgery, which meant I couldn't sing for quite a long time. So I made the track ages ago without knowing what the melody or lyrics were going to do over the top. That also coincided with a period of my life where I thought that I had got to this point with my mental health position of robustness where I was able to kind of regularly evaluate whether I was in a good position or not. And then without realizing, I was really far from that position, and I was quite unreachable to a lot of people closest to me in my life. That meant that for a period of time, I sort of lost the ability to self-reflect and evaluate whether I was in a good position. And Dancing on the Head of a Needle is kind of my attempt to review that period in my life and I think probably apologize to myself, but also the people that I wasn't able to help during that period.
Well, so, I mean, can you talk us through the process of writing the song?
Yep.
And how that impacted you writing it? Because as you were just talking about, when you're feeling you're okay and you're thinking, I can do this, but actually when you start writing it, it could be just different.
It was a weird song to do because, as I said, I had the track ready, and then one day when I was walking my dog, I was like, today's the day I'm going to, like, open that door about that period of my life that I'd been avoiding for a while. I sort of thought, it kind of felt like I was dancing on the head of a needle where, like, to the world I was all right, but actually I was on this sort of like precipice of constantly worrying that one thing could go wrong and I'd spiral and be like even more unreachable. So I knew I had the title, Dancing on the Head of a Needle, and then as soon as I got back from walking the dog, sat down with my guitar, and the song just came like really quick, which is amazing. So probably half an hour, all the lyrics came, and then I added those melodies to the track I had, and the song was made in a day, really.
Amazing. So how do you feel releasing a song that was so personal to your experience? Did you find it hard?
I wouldn't have been able to write this song in October last year when I was going through this difficult time. So now it really feels like a sense of closure on that period of my life, and also the acknowledgement that I'm in a much better place now after addressing those sort of demons. And it's great that it's also helping other people.
What do you do to hope people will take away when they're listening to a song?
I hope people realise that I've been speaking about mental health since the very beginning of the Vamps, 10 years. And I think to the outside, people would maybe presume that I'm totally, I've fixed my mental health, and that's just not how it works, as we all know. And I would love people to know that, well, if someone who's a strong proponent of expressing emotion and speaking about mental health, if I can still go through these episodes, then it's completely normal for everyone to occasionally go through these bouts of feeling low or anxious. And this song is a reminder that it's not something that you can just solve, and it's okay to be vulnerable emotionally from time to time.
What responses have you received from the song so far? Is it mainly positive about the music and the song? And what about people who've listened to it and really helped their mental health? Have you had anyone that's commented on that?
I have. I mean, luckily enough, no critics are going to slate a song about mental health. No. They can't be like, oh, it's rubbish. So that's good. But on a serious note, yeah, I've had a lot of fans. And actually people from outside, my normal fan base, reach out to me. I've got, I'm really interested in the watch and car community, for example, and the people that I socialize with in that setting is slightly different from the Vamps demographic, for example. And I've had a lot of them reach out and say, I really, really relate to that song. And I think that's success in my eyes. Yeah. It's reaching people, men of a certain demographic, right? Yeah. That's for me, that's really important and personal. So it's great that we've got you know, like the female fan base that are really relating to it, and also actually like telling me about how the song has already helped them go through certain episodes.
Man.
But then on the other end, you've got like older men, and it's just like, it's amazing to hit like a wider demographic with this song.
And with men, as the suicide's still the biggest killer in young men. So actually what you're doing is so special. How do you feel each time you sing the song? I mean, it's a bit of a weird question, because what I'm kind of referring to is, do you have to be in the right mood to be able to deliver it in the best possible way? Like, do you take yourself back into that when you're not doing so well in your anxiety, or is it just kind of becomes like a script in the end?
I think because the song's only been around for a couple of months, I'm still in the infancy stages of getting around singing it and rehearsing it. I did it with a friend of mine, Ben, who's playing cello with me. And it was like quite an emotional thing, because it's easy, you know, historically with other songs I've written, they do turn into just like a part of a routine. Sometimes you forget what the lyrics mean. I think with this EP I'm releasing, I'm really adamant to keep a grasp on exactly what I'm trying to say with each song and the themes that I'm exploring with each lyric. So this song is still very, very relevant to me, and I'm going to try all I can to remember the importance and the significance of that song every time I sing it.
Do you think that will give the authenticity to the song when people are listening to it, if you just try and get back into that headspace in terms of how you would sing it?
I think so. Yeah. I think I'd like to think that people know that it's like a very true reflection of how I feel in the song. I think the fact that, you know, I wrote it just on my own at home, produced it myself, and just put that out. People know I feel there's like a degree of vulnerability in that song, and transparency in the lyrics and the production, that people know that is really a part of me. And I think I owe it to the song and the meaning behind the song to carry on like believing it when I sing it.
I'm going to give you a quote from one of your songs here. So the song. So if you if I butcher it, please don't forgive me. So you eloquently refer to your battles of anxiety in the song when you say, "I get so restless in my head, those thunderclouds are closing in." As you embarked on your solo career, how have you found that with your anxiety?
Actually not, weirdly. I think because this is the most vocal I've ever been from a songwriting perspective about my mental health, it's kind of been this process of catharsism where I've not really had any low moments over the last since October. I mean, there's a few reasons for that, but I think the music's genuinely one of them. So.
That is amazing, because even though speaking about your mental health actually makes your mental health, you know, speaking to someone or speaking about it and being so open can actually often really help you with your own mental health. So yeah, you say the line, "Who was I? Still not quite sure." From the time you wrote the song to now, has that changed?
I don't think so. Well, I don't know. I think it's still kind of raw, because it was like, October really was, I guess, the pinnacle of it all. And we're nearly coming up a year, I guess. But I don't know, because I'm okay with that, because I know the person I am now, so I'm happy in the position I am now. But I don't know. I don't think that necessarily needs to be as weighted as it sounds, because in some ways I'm like, I don't know, but in other ways I'm like, I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter now. I'm where I am now.
Yeah, we know music can positively impact someone's mental health. So can you share an experience where music has helped your mental health and what it means to you? That a song or an artist that you've listened to, you've gone, actually, that's really helped me.
That's a difficult one. It's funny, like, because the go-to would be a certain lyric or whatever, but actually what I find really therapeutic is like string arrangements in songs. So a guy called Damien Rice, who's like my biggest inspiration, some of his songs are quite long, you know, like 8 minutes or whatever. And just when he lets the music kind of do the talking, I find that really like, I don't know, like soothing. Yeah. So actually, there's not really necessarily certain lyrics. I think people speaking about mental health is great, and that helps me. But I can't pinpoint like a specific song where someone said something. It's more just the feeling I get with music, and I almost feel like the emotion of instrumentation for me weirdly speaks more than words.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying I can hear the Damien Rice influence in your music, so well done.
Thank you.
So if you put your music on a shuffle, what would a random person say, 3 words that would describe your music taste?
Varied. I mean, we're talking Damien Rice to Taylor Swift is what I would do. So I think 3 words, maybe surprising. sad, and acoustic, I would think.
Good. So your debut solo LP focuses on your mental health experience throughout a lot of it.
Yeah.
Do you find that writing and making music helps you? I mean, you've touched on this already, but through these thoughts and experiences, you said that, you know, when you're writing a song, it can really help you, and you're actually in a good place now. You're writing it. So, does that mean that you're going to carry on writing about your challenges going forward? I
think so. I mean, I think it's impossible for me to not write songs about how I'm feeling and what I'm going through. I think this EP, so the EP is called Manabe, which means learning in Japanese, and learning is something that I've always resonated with. Like, not necessarily sitting in a classroom and learning trigonometry, more like learning about myself and my emotions and how experiences have affected me and how I've grown and evolved to deal with certain things. So songwriting adds to that notion of learning. I might be in thinking back to October, I was in this really bizarre place and I wrote all these songs, and now I realize that me writing those songs was all part of that learning process of figuring out how I tick, that there were certain things I still needed to address. But also what's been brilliant with this process is it's really helped my relationships with people. So like my relationship with my wife is great, because I always find like writing a song is the ultimate expression of honesty. You can't hide when you put a song out into the world. And I think some people might find it strange to think, well, you've not really like spoken about certain issues you've had, but then you're releasing songs about it. But for me, that's kind of the best way to do it. So even like relationships with like my mum and stuff, and you know, she's been so supportive of me for my whole life with mental health and stuff. But I think me putting a song out has forced me to speak about things that I would feel really uncomfortable normally speaking to my mum about, find that like kind of awkward. So that's been brilliant for me. It's been like a sense of therapy, and I think moving forward, writing songs will help me be a better person and address issues that I have.
To end this off by saying thank you, basically, because although music's therapeutic for yourself, it's therapeutic for the listeners as well. As you kind of said, the people listening to you will actually listen to your music and maybe seek their help for their own mental health.
I hope so.
And if they do that, that should be a challenge, a reward enough in itself for you, really.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
And thank you very much for performing at the gig coming up. So we look forward to that, and thank you very much, James.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Time made me its fool, and I learned how to lose. I got so restless in my head, those thunder clouds were closing in, and who was I, still not quite sure, and laugh or cry, pray or sin, my beating heart was linen thin. Now I know how it feels, dancing on the head of a needle. Know how it feels. Now I know how it feels. Time made me its fool, and I learned how to lose. I got so restless in my head, those thunder clouds were closing in, and who was I, still not quite sure, and laugh or cry, pray or